There's a report that has come out that Iran is staring at an unprecedented internal power crisis. The report suggests that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has effectively taken control of key decision making, sidelining the elected government led by President Masoud Pezeshkian. From blocking key appointments to controlling access to the top leadership, the military establishment now appears to be calling the shots. This raises the question, is Iran witnessing a silent coup from within? And let me tell you, Irgc was the custodian of the Islamic Revolution, and it is now taking over the revolution. President Pezeshkian is also facing a complete political deadlock, which means that he cannot function like a president. A so-called military council is now believed to be controlling critical decisions, while a security cordon has been placed around the top leadership. In simple terms, the civilian government is being pushed to the sidelines. At the center of this crisis is Irgc. I will not waste my time. My guests have joined me. I'm joined by Professor Swaran Singh and Major General S.B. Asthana. Let me straight away go to Professor Swaran Singh without wasting any more time. Professor, it seems that the war has impacted the internal dynamic of the Iranian state.
There is absolutely no doubt the kind of death and destruction that Iran has faced. It's likely that inside Iran there is a power struggle going on, and in crises like this, it's likely that military, and in this case particularly IRGC, which is primarily meant to protect the revolution and its gains, can become much more powerful, and apparently there are signals in that direction. But the report about political struggle right now are sourced to a channel in UK called Iran International, which I believe is funded by Saudi investors, is known to be anti-regime, and actually is banned in Iran, even though some surveys show that that particular channel has access in Iran up to 1/3 of population accessing information from abroad. It's also the largest Persian language channel in that sense. So yes, there is likelihood of power struggle inside. There is also likelihood of IRGC becoming virtually de facto in command. There is also likelihood of certain restrictions, as the report is being placed on President Pezeshkian, or he's being sidelined. But we also should be careful about the source which is spreading this news is Iran International. It's not an Iranian source. It's a source from UK. It's a channel which is, as I said, funded by Saudi investors.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There is no doubt about it, because the nature of my... Absolutely. There's no doubt about it, because the nature of the conversation is, war has a lasting impact in the society, like Frantz Fanon, the circle of violence, any act of violence can change the social system. So, even, the sort of violence which the Americans are perpetrating on the Iranian society and the state can shift the power axis. That is the kernel of my conversation with both of you. General Asthana, your opening comments, because ultimately the entire state now relies on the muscle of IRGC. I mean, so if you look at other components, they are at the sidelines. It's IRGC which is doing the fighting. Can you, sir, unmute yourself?
There's no doubt, and I don't think there was any surprise to that effect, that IRGC will finally gain power, and after all the leaders are killed, it will be IRGC which will call the shot. And I think that is happening. The only thing is, they may still not do away with the civilian system by any stretch of imagination, because this system is working in Pakistan, where the military is calling the shot, and they still need civilian government and a civilian face for the diplomacy in rest of the world. And that system is functioning fine. All the ills can be passed on to the civilian government, and all the power is enjoyed by the military. Now, there was no doubt, and I think it was known that it will happen. But at the same time, as Professor mentioned, it is an age and era of the narrative war and information war too. Now, it makes sense for USA as well as Saudi Arabia and others who are adversarial to Iran to propagate a news to say that there is an internal crisis, because that serves their purpose. And therefore, when the narratives are being made, the narrative that okay, this present regime is better. You will also find certain other narratives coming. There was a recently, I think, about an hour back, President Trump tweeted to say that the new regime, we have done the regime change. The new regime is very intelligent. It is much better than the previous regime. I don't know whether he was talking about Pezeshkian or he was talking about the IRGC hardliners.
You know,
That I don't think.
sir, I really don't know which part or which bite of Donald Trump to be taken seriously, because you know,
Yes.
a couple of hours ago he gave a bite saying that we'll be either there for 4 weeks or 6 weeks, we'll be out soon, and despite that, Americans have now deployed 8 Warthogs there. I mean, so if you don't want a war, then why are you deploying that weaponry? Warthogs are very specific for boots on ground operations. They are armor piercing air weapons.
See, America, especially Donald Trump, is absolutely confused about the future conduct of war. They know, initially they were quite rhetoric to say that, okay, we'll go in for land operation or ground operation. But then they realized the problems, which I think we have discussed on your channel also. See, if you have to clear Strait of Hormuz, you have to capture all islands. 15,000 troops are just not sufficient to do anything. They can't achieve more than 1 to 2 islands, and for that also the amphibious assault ships have to physically enter a Strait of Hormuz, which has not been done, and that their entry itself will be contested. Also the kind of mountainous terrain which Iran has. So the disadvantages were so many. I think some professional guys in USA have picked up some courage to convince Donald Trump that this is not going to work out. The ground action is not going to work out. So now he's trying to find other escape routes by saying that, okay, sometimes he says I have won, sometimes he says regime is okay, regime change is complete, sometimes he says this regime is very good, sometimes he also says, no, I will blow off the island if you guys don't behave and don't come to don't come to terms. So he is confused, and he knows that his strategic aims are not being fulfilled, but he is known to be telling lies and claiming self-proclaimed victory, which nobody else other than himself.
I think that's a very interesting point, General. That's a very interesting point. Professor Swirling Singh, is he trying to find an escape route? Because there's no clarity on which political objective, which military objective has been met. Have they taken out the fissile material? I don't know. Have they destroyed all the missiles? I don't know. Whether they know where the enriched uranium is, I have no idea. Yes, they have destroyed the Iranian Air Force. That barely had an Air Force. Their navy is defunct. Yes, the navy was defunct. Iranian army has not been deployed. There has been no action on the ground. Basij, IRGC, army, all of them are there. All of them are there. So do you think that Trump is looking for a way out, saying, boss, I have done my job, and as he said, you guys can go to Hormuz and take your oil and come back. We have achieved our objectives.
I think one after another, Trump's commentaries are definitely revealing or betraying his frustration or desperation. There is near consensus that the war was led by Netanyahu, and President Trump virtually joined that war on advice of perhaps Prime Minister Netanyahu. And the kind of internal disjunctions that are becoming visible within United States, within NATO, within Arab nations, allies of United States, could make it possible that he is definitely looking at some exit strategy. We are all waiting for another 12 hours. He's going to address the nation. And hopefully people are saying maybe he will reveal who is he talking in Iran. His last social truth comment talked about Iran's new regime president. No one knows who he's talking of. So hopefully in his address to the nation 12 hours from now, maybe he will give a little more definitive indication of who he's talking to, or whether he's planning to.
Sorry, I'm interjecting you, Professor. I have a question. I have a question. You say, when we did Operation Sindhu, when we have done other operations, there is a question. We teach Pakistan a lesson, but not enough that the behavior of the Pakistani deep state changes. They continue to sponsor terrorism. They continue to attack India. They continue to come out with fake narratives against India. Their behavior does not change, because maybe we need to perhaps inflict more pain on the Pakistani army. So even if there's a regime change, will there be a change in the behavior of the Iranian state?
That's not likely. Never in
That is the
history you have
question.
been able to see change of behavior through force. In fact, it is often counterproductive. So, what is most important in any military operation is to define clear objectives for your armed forces. India had, for example, in Operation Sindoor, mentioned the 9 sites that India wanted to hit. Only when Pakistan responded, India expanded that to also hit some of their air defense systems, airdromes, and so on. Here in this case, the goalposts have been constantly changing from missiles becoming an issue to proxies becoming an issue to regime change to missile material to now freeing Strait of Hormuz. Iran has also been constantly responding, not just always saying we have no conversations happening. Iran had indicated to give away all that 400 kilograms of enriched uranium up to 60%, not to United States, to Russia. So certain indications from Iran have also come which are positive. But because there is no clarity on what United States wants to achieve through these military operations and regime change has not been possible, it looks to United States increasingly becoming a protracted conflict in which MAGA supporters are not going to feel happy about it. So definitely, I think the increasing desperation is very visible in commentaries that come from President Trump.
Okay.
But as I said, we are hoping that 12 hours from now, when he addresses the nation, we will get some definite clarity as to what is he thinking in terms of his war aims and whether he has achieved. He could definitely say we have degraded, Iran's nuclear capability, their missile capabilities, their air force, their navy, and therefore we have now achieved our goals. And saying that even the Strait of Hormuz is now free doesn't matter to him. He can just declare he's victorious, as he does very often in many situations.